This is the place they say people come from far, far, far away to find their dreams, chasing down these meteors and comets called dreams in the sky of life.
Hello, hello, hello. That's the dot over here. You know, I always point the wrong way. I can't get my fingers to do what they're supposed to do. Look
To
at
the
that.
left, to your left. Not well. I mean to your
Anyway,
left, because
well,
I'm to your left on your side. From if I was
yeah,
standing
on
right
your
behind
left.
you. No, we don't
You
do
know,
those MC
everything you
references
own
here.
in your box to the left. You know.
To the right, to the right. All right. Let's get
So
into it.
I don't. Yeah. Anyway, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your girl, Ashley, aka the Widow, and with me is the one and only man with the toppest fade around, ssjk-dots Sanctum.
What's
And
up,
what are we talking
everybody?
about, Dot?
We're Moon Knight episode 3, and we are spoiling it. This is not a spoiler free. The episode has been out for a week already. We're spoiling this.
Yes. And so we're now on episode 3. It premiered this past Wednesday on Disney Plus. And of course, it stars Oscar Isaacs as our title character here is Mark Spector, Moon Knight, and Stephen Grant, and any other character in between.
And
also,
soon, possibly, Lockley. I don't know who he is, but everybody over here hyped up about some dude named Lockley, Jake Lockley.
He was like a cabbie, you know. He kept his nose to the ground, kept his ears to the street, so he could hear what was going on.
A taxi driver
in the underbelly. You know,
a
that
taxi
kind of
driver. Well, he seems like he seems like he's pretty badass. He's pretty cool. You know, he's out here killing people, young Egyptian boys and stuff. Messed up. Saw what he did to that fool.
Yeah, he did. He like. But what about like the opening of the movie though? Like
the opening,
the fight. What did you think about like when we open up? First, we're introduced to Layla though. We see Layla again, and she's like, I guess it's the flashback when she's getting her passports. And
I think it's all present day.
Like, it's present day. She's going.
I think it is present. It seems
Cairo.
like it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's Cairo. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a few days. She's getting ready to go to Cairo. She's speaking with a family friend who's making her fake
ID
passports. And so we see her in the beginning and talking about how she found Mark and living, you know, close by, and that she had to go to Egypt. And her father, we get some hints about her father also there, right?
Yeah.
So we find out that her father, you know, was kind of in the treasure, you know, hunting game, and he was killed, you know, and he used to call her his little scarab, you know?
Right.
So that was cute. So, and then from there, this is the first time that we get to see Mark, you know, in this episode, he carries a lot of it. We do see Steven, but we see Mark and Steven. And Mark is fighting on the roof. Yeah, it really is. Talk about, like, you do remember when he's fighting on the roof and the guy with the knife?
Oh yeah, epic fight scene. So, you know, it was tight, you guys. You know, these dudes, they was dance fighting on top of this roof. It was 3 of them. One of them was like, you know what? I want to put some extra oomph into this fight. So he threw his knife all the way up into the air pretty high. You know, if he slipped up, he could have cut himself on it. That knife could have easily cut him. You know, he threw it up pretty high. You know, want to make sure, let the camera know up there, like, catch it. And he threw it up. They fighting a little bit. Mark is fighting. They're all trying. You know, Mark is pretty much messing them up. And then one part, this guy, he does the most epic thing ever. He takes his tongue, licks his clean knife with no dirt, grime, blood, nothing on it. Nothing.
Knife, brand new out the box.
That knife was shiny and clean. And basically, Mark just kept on beating on him. And then Mark phased out again into a different personality. Yeah. We didn't see what personality he phased into. And it wasn't Steven. It was a new person. And then he ended up somewhere else. He was heading to the airport. So the other personality that took over was trying to get them to the airport. But Mark conveniently ran into the 2 dudes that he was beating up on the roof. And he told them, you know, wait, all that stuff, like, come here. They all started running. Mark tries to grab one of them, beat him up, and all that. And then he phases out again, and he ends up near some cliff. And just one of the dudes there, the little Egyptian boy, he was a teenager, but he's a kid. He was running away from Mark, like, get away from me, get away from me. Mark doesn't know what he's talking about, and Steven doesn't know what this guy is talking about. Steven didn't see what happened, and Mark didn't see what happened, so it's obviously a new personality that has taken over. Khonshu tells Mark to take the kid, take him over to the ledge, hold him over it, scare him a little bit. And Khonshu was like, he's going to, it's going to work. He's obviously going to be able to intimidate him and get information. It didn't work. He said, for a minute, and fell.
Yeah, cut that scar.
The guy basically committed suicide. He was not willing to give Mark any information.
He did a Hail Hydra.
I think I think this is better than Hail Hydra. That forearm mitt was powerful.
But also, let you know, a little unknown nerd fact. The guy that's licking the knife, in one of the hallway scenes in Taken, the first film, found out, guys, that he's the guy that does knife work against Liam Neeson's character in the first Taken film. Is one of the bad
makes
guys.
Sense why he was just licking his knife.
Yeah.
He was over there flexing.
Yeah, so he's
so
like they brought in this film fighter who does a lot of knife work in the show, but the knife was very clean.
Honestly, I think they told him just come in here, brag, and do your thing. Just lick the knife. You don't need to do anything real
lick
technical.
that knife. But
that knife had no blood or nothing on it. It was just clean. I was like, what is this?
Yes. The blood on the knife. Then what happens after that? So what did you think about the opening?
The opening was okay. The opening was cool. The only derpy part was like that fight on the roof and the guy doing all the extra stuff, licking his knife and stuff. I get what they was trying to do, trying to make this guy seem like he's badass and stuff. But I'm like, it's not really tight. I think it ain't dark. MCU is a little nice and stuff. But I think it would have been better if he actually licked some blood off the knife. Just saying.
Yeah, or something.
Like he cut Mark and then he licked his blood off the knife. It's like, oh my gosh, this dude's nasty. It's nasty, but I think that would have been better.
And for the type of blood that they show us in the show, I think that would have been, it seems like in the realm of possibility, something they could do, because anytime we see blood is obviously generally after a flash, which
we honestly really haven't. The most blood I think we've seen was when those dudes are splattered on the ground that Mark beat up in the first episode. Mm-hmm. And when Steven
were dead.
Yeah, and when Steven fell on the ground and his jaw kind of broke.
And then the guy that he shot in the back of the cupcake van, he was dead. He shot him, so there was a bullet holes in his body.
I saw some stuff coming out of him, but it didn't look like blood. It was like some weird blue effect, maybe.
I gotta rewatch it. It looked
weird. It didn't look like blood. It looked weird. I was wondering what it was.
Well, maybe he's a scroll.
It might be.
So it's still blood. It's scroll blood. It's scroll blood, right?
I don't count. Then in
the last episode we see the dead guys on the ground. They're covered in blood.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about getting to those moments are always cut with a flash, and we understand for the character that he goes in and out.
It's just a bit of the flashes.
It's an easy cop out. It's an easy cop out to get away from that gore.
Well, I think for me, the flashes was the most confusing in the first episode, especially the very first one. How Steven was in one country, then he ended up in another country. Well, wherever they was at. They was obviously not in London. It was kind of weird because at first I was thinking did Khonshu just teleport him? Because that's what it seemed like. I'm like, how'd you get here so quick? Then you wake up, you're back here. It's like, and then he wakes up back home.
Yeah.
It was all weird. It was like, is he teleporting? Is this actual dream? That's when it was most confusing for me, but now it's less confusing. Because then it's just, he blinks out in one place. He gets, let's say, the next personality takes over. They get 5 minutes away. Mark or somebody else comes back in. In the first episode, it did not seem like that. It literally seemed like he was either dreaming or Khonshu was doing some crazy teleporting.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like.
But how do you feel? Do you feel like it's an easy excuse not to show us like an actual fight that gets bloody and gory, and then there's a flash, sense, and then there's dead bodies, like we, with when it comes to Mark?
In a sense, I can see it as a cop out. I mean, it kind of is, because you can like when a certain scene gets too heavy and we think it may go there, like for example when Mark beat up those dudes, would have been cool to see it, but in the first episode I understand why they didn't show it, because they wasn't trying to show us Mark just yet doing things. Because Steven was supposed to be confused and we're supposed to be confused with Steven, but still would have been cool to see Mark beat up all these people and all their blood and stuff is gushing all over the place. It would have been cool to see. I understand why they did it, but then I do understand your point about it kind of is a cop out to an extent.
Yeah,
but it just at the moment just kind of gets confusing because I'm like, okay, they're introducing a new personality. It's Jake Lockley. Now, if this is the case, we got 3 more episodes, then this Jake Lockley has to make himself more known. Because in the first 2 episodes, okay, this makes sense. There's trying to build a mystery. Who's this other person in the body? Blah blah blah, all that. But then it's just,
I have an idea.
But then they can't keep doing these confusing back and forth flashes. Like at some point they gotta like rest, and just later in this episode, Mark gives Steven a body. They don't do that weird like he just gives him the body and he takes over. Near the end of the episode, you remember when Steven just took over? It was just a seamless transition. Like that, like stuff like that, or when Mark,
because he relinquishes control,
right? Like that's what I want to start to see more of. Like we're like 3 episodes deep. It's kind of like, all right, it's time for you to. It's time for them to start like relinquishing control to each other. No more of this, like taking the body and all that. Like they need to get it under control.
And I know that a lot of people. I know we kind of. I was talking about Jake Lockley. And possibly, what if, for some reason, I don't know why he would do that. Like, what if the other personality that we're seeing, which it doesn't make sense because he says, I'm, Khonshu's avatar. So I feel like that's probably Mark Spector. But then I had a thought that, what if Jake was pretending to be Mark, and that the one who's the crazy guy who killed everybody, that's actually Mark. Mark. No, that's Mark. Actually Mark. Okay. And that Jake, is just been moonlighting. Get it? Midnight. It's Mark Spector. I mean, it's a possibility, guys. Maybe. You never know.
Because you mentioned, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if like there's some case of one of the identities framing the other one. Like I wouldn't be surprised.
Exactly. Like, or Jack being scared, not wanting to go away, so he was pretending to be like the dominant personality to Steven. Right. And when we even hear him tell Steven that once I'm done with this, you'll never see me again. Yeah. So in a way, you feel like that Mark is saying that he's gonna relinquish control to Steven, or is that Jake talking to Steven saying, once all this is done, I'll go away
and you won't see me again.
And you won't see me, because like we know that Khonshu, from what they've told us in this episode, he elevated his these different personas. Yeah. Right. So maybe his thinking and possibility and his reasoning is, once Khonshu is gone and we're no longer serving Khonshu as his avatar, that I will go away and I will not be here any longer. Just a possibility. You never know. It was just a thought. I started to think, I wonder if that could be what's about to happen next week, guys.
That might be a case. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked because Jake is out here doing stuff on his own. What we saw in this episode, Jake was the one trying to go to the airport. He wants to leave and do something else.
I think that was Steven that wanted to go to the airport.
I don't think it was. Because Steven didn't even know. Well, maybe. Maybe it was. I don't know. But
Yeah, because like
because Steven didn't know like if that's why it's
because you
still kind of
remember
confusing because Steven didn't
Mark
know
was
who
like
took
in the
over.
mirror. He was in the mirror, and he was like, "What did you do?" And he was like, "I didn't kill them." And he said, "You did it." And then Steven was like, "I didn't do it either."
Yeah.
And then it's Steven is in control. And then there's the flash, and then Mark is now in the taxi. So I believe that Steven was the one that was trying to escape.
Well, this is my
To
thing.
escape.
Let's say, all right, let's say Jake is there. Not saying he's not. He is there. Wouldn't by default then if Jake takes over, Mark and Steven would be in the same place? You
Yes.
know, like that's on like that's why I'm like, why don't they
That's
know?
why I'm wondering if like the two of them are become such powerful personas that Mark is the one that's really trying to escape, and we know that he's the mercenary, and maybe he's gone a bit mad, or it could be Jake. We don't know. We'll see, right? So we got introduced to a third persona, and we kind of had a feeling that three were coming, just because of the comics that the three personalities that are exhibited there. So we're not really surprised that he's here. Kind of glad, because there for a while I thought, well, maybe it's just going to be Steven and Mark.
I mean, I didn't know nothing about no Jake Lockley. I thought it was gonna be Steven and Mark.
Well, well, he might come, and then I started to think, well, maybe it'll just be the two of them. But I'm glad that they're bringing in the other personality so we can see the differences between the three. So once we get past that, then we find out that they have to. Is this when they go to see Midnight?
This when they want to summon a council of the gods. Khonshu wants to summon the council to make a case with them that Arthur is
Horror
doing some fraudulent stuff,
and which he is, right? And so he goes in front of this council, and the council. Okay, this is
low budget gods.
I absolutely hate this scene. Okay,
I was waiting for some gods and stuff. These got dudes popping up in suits and stuff. I'm like, what is this? But hey,
the tomb.
I understand. I mean, it could be a budget issue, or it could just be this was very
CGI
much intentional.
There's been a lot of things lacking CGI wise, and then it's like, okay, we understand. Maybe you don't have the budget to do CGI gods because you're doing CGI here and there.
Right.
But some of the CGI we've seen has been slightly sloppy. We must admit, right? It's not looked the best. So, and then you get to the moment with the gods, and then even the tomb looks very cheap to me. Is that just me?
I expected. All right, this is not the best movie to mention, but you know that movie, Gods of Egypt.
Yes.
I was expecting scenery like that, but we just walk into a tomb. I thought they was going inside of a tomb, but it would have been a little pocket little place for the gods and stuff in it. But no, it's just an actual tomb. They popped up in there, and they're just talking.
Fake Egypt, trash Egypt, right? Not very good. And they're not really in Egypt. They didn't film any of this. They didn't go there. There's a lot of it's on sound stages and locations. But it looks like that tomb looks bad. And then you bring in the gods, and you're like, oh, and at first I'm like, oh, we see their human avatars. Possibly once they start this trial.
Yeah, I thought that was getting the gods about to pop out.
Yeah, and when their eyes started to glow, I thought that they were going to transform into them. No. And then you get this, and this is the only moment in any episode where I did not like what Oscar Isaacs was doing. And it really wasn't. I just didn't like how Khonshu's voice was coming out of him. I didn't like the gods just being sitting there in human form. It looked so cheap to me. And then the back and forth with Arthur Harrow, and they're talking to him.
It's just, I think in I understand that Khonshu is, from what we see, he's a little bit, he's not right in the head and stuff. He's
an extravagant.
He's looked at as the outlier of the gods and stuff. He's basically the banished one, all of that. So they're not going to really take him serious. But then I'm like this. He's trying to prove a case. He wants to stop Arthur, but he's just doing these outbursts yada 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 yada, blah blah blah. But he's not saying what he's doing. It's like he's not saying he got this, he did this, blah 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 blah. He's just saying like you're whack, blah blah blah. Like no,
You're trying to release Amit, but he's not explaining.
right? He's not saying
the situation.
how,
He's
why,
not
the evidence,
it.
nothing. It's just
like a hollow, empty. Like we need to stop him, and then the gods never really ask a lot of questions,
right?
Of Arthur. So it feels like maybe that somehow.
Well, because we find out Arthur,
maybe
Arthur's
there's
chilling
like an
with
alignment.
Arthur's chilling with one of the avatars, the dude in the suit. I'm not sure about the other ones, but the dude in the suit, he's cool with the avatar, so he's cool with that.
Yeah. So there's that's what I'm saying. They're aligned.
So I think they're all in cahoots to try and just revive Amit.
I think the only one that might not be was the moon god, the god of what was it, melody or music? What was her name?
The god of music.
The one that warned the one that tried to help him. I think she's the only one that might really be on his side. Everyone else, I think, might be, obviously against him. And also in that moment, like, they only asked, like, anything Arthur brought up to them, they questioned that they didn't, question Arthur. So obviously there's something going on there.
Right. Hey, look, I'll say this. Shouts out Arthur, me and Nerdman said it. Arthur over Thanos, Nah, but Arthur went in there, did his thing, played victim. He was solid. He was tight. He went up in there. He played Khonshu. It was like, I was a victim this whole time. He was doing this stuff to me. I'm just a victim. I was like, damn, you lying, but good job. I guess you can say Arthur's kind of a victim of Khonshu, but it seems like he was able to do he obviously did. He did what Mark couldn't do and like broke away from Khonshu some way or somehow. Because Mark really doesn't want to be doing this thing with Khonshu, but if he doesn't get this deal done, then he risked Khonshu taking Layla and trying to make him the next successor. So it was actually something keeping Mark from just getting rid of Khonshu, because Arthur did it, and it doesn't seem like Khonshu had anything against Arthur to hold him down when he was his avatar.
Wonder if, I'm curious, like, because we don't really know, like, did Khonshu forsake him? Possibly, because he's so Arthur, because he's so upset with Arthur. I'm curious about that, or if it was just, he was like, no, Arthur, you've outgrown. I need to move on to someone younger and agile, maybe, or was it, he was so consumed with that power and the love for what he was doing that Khonshu.
Well, in the last episode, Arthur doesn't like Khonshu's methods because I think they're both like this whole thing of justice. I think they both align on that, but he doesn't like Khonshu's methods on how to deal out justice. So I think,
but he did say, I loved being your servant, and that's what the pain or guilt that I have to carry every day. What was his exact line? I know we're skipping a bit.
That's what I say. I think it's more of like they clicked, they aligned so much, but when it came down to methods of what was the best way to save the world, that's how they split. And I think that's why Arthur is so fixated on getting with Amit and becoming maybe an avatar of Amit, obviously, because Amit has the better way to save the world.
I'm curious, like, because if it's more to it, like him and Khonshu, like, I get that he's like went to this other side and he explained that, but I'm curious about it. And my thing is, I know we've skipped a little bit here, guys, because we skipped the moon, the night sky, and we skipped when he goes to, they're looking for for Amit's tomb, which was hidden in this artifact where they have to go meet with, I think was it Midnight? I think this character, I think his name is Midnight, and he's a collector.
They was trying to look at his little artifacts so they can get to the next spot. Without a go, had a pretty cool fight scene there. The only thing I disliked in the moment was the Mr. Knight pop up. It was kind of funny, but it was like you didn't need it.
Yeah.
But other than that, cool fight. Layla did her thing, and this is the thing. I'm gonna say this real quick. Layla, look, there's a lot of people with narratives out there saying like, women and all.
She
this
was
stuff.
better in this episode.
Well, I would say this, like, I'm looking at how they're doing Layla. She's really not like no Black Widow type of chick. Like, she ain't no. I'm not saying it's bad, but the way people in certain channels are making her seem like, she's taking over things. She's like Captain Marvel, blah blah blah.
No, I don't agree with that.
Stuff like, like Layla is more like, honestly, she's been more the damsel in distress, but she can handle herself. Like, Mark had to really help her out a lot more than she had to help Mark in the recent episodes. But that's not to say she's not useful. Her fighting skills are a
little bit like above par, and if they explain it and give us like some reason why maybe she would be that good of that skilled of a fighter, maybe I would understand it. That's the only thing.
Hey, maybe Mark
like the last episode, I felt that she dragged a lot of the scenes down, and I thought that the way that she delivered the lines just seemed a little dry. In the third episode, I felt like she was a little bit better, still not as strong, but I felt like she was better in the third episode. Maybe because, I mean, she was there a lot, but I felt like her dialogue, she didn't have large chunks of times where she was speaking.
Yeah.
Either. But I think that, for me, she's an improvement here. And I like the fight sequence as well. I like, the flash from him, back and forth, with Moon Knight and Mr. Knight when he did that during the fight. But I didn't like, hold on, guys, time out. Like, but
yeah, because I was like,
I
was looking like, Steven, give him back the body. What are you doing? They're already trying to kill you.
But he was less annoying. But we did, this time around. But he was less of him. But he wasn't as annoying as he was.
This was a lot funnier than last episode when he turned into Mr. Knight. Like, this little bit here was funny compared to the last episode where it was trying to be funny and comedic relief.
And it was just too much.
Yeah, it was just too much. But here, it was funny. It was funny, quick.
Yeah, I can deal with it. It's like recycling old jokes, because doesn't Star-Lord say something about a timeout? I think he does.
I don't remember all these MCU movies.
In Infinity War. On the ship. On Ebony Maw's ship. I think he said something about a timeout.
Star-Lord wasn't. I don't remember if he did. I think he does. I think maybe when they was planning stuff, like doing a plan, I think that's when he did it, like, timeout or something. I don't know.
I thought it was on this on Ebony Maw's ship, but anyway, I digress.
Oh, I think that was Tony who did that. If you're talking, I think that was Tony then.
I thought it was
like timeout. I feel like Tony did something like that.
I need to watch Infinity War again, because now that I can't remember, I'm gonna like rack my brain. But I'm pretty sure it's Star-Lord though. But I don't know.
Nah,
he
wasn't on the ship when Strange enough.
Yeah, he was.
They came on Titan when they crashed. Star-Lord, Mantis, and Drax came in to the movie when Strange and them crashed on Titan. They like all met up then. Remember, they came into the ship and then there was fighting. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. You may not be wrong. Oh, it's like timeout. I don't know.
Am I crazy?
This was after they crash landed on Titan when they came into the ship. Spider-Man sent them.
They were in the ship.
Okay, if you're talking about that, then yeah. But I don't remember all the specific things going on.
Yeah, they were on the ship. I was like, what? I know they were. I remember the
why Gamora stuff that was happening. I seen like, why Gamora?
Yeah, and they were on the ship. I'm pretty sure he says time out or something there. But anyway,
they did something like that.
Recycling the line. We see, that fight sequence, which is really cool. I did like that. And then they're off, right?
Yeah.
To try to find the constellations. And then in interactions with Khonshu, what do they find out, Todd?
interaction with Khonshu.
What do they have to do? They have to turn the night
Oh yeah, they have to
sky
turn
back
the.
because the constellations.
I'll be
and the
honest with
stars
you.
don't
I
line
forgot
up.
the whole reason why they did that. I just thought it looked cool. I forgot why they was scared to do
Yeah, they
it.
did it because they were trying to find the location of
Yeah,
on
of
this
the
tomb,
thing.
right?
But I
And
forgot the all the technical stuff they was talking about
you
up
remember she
until
had her little tablet up and she was trying to find
line up the constellations
match,
and
and then that's when they figured out, oh no, we can't do that. It has to be on that night. And is what actually Steven told her that. And then Khonshu then was like, I remember every night because he's the moon god, right? So he remembers every night. So what does he do? He turns the night sky back.
Right. He tells Steven
And
to turn it, and I would say I said this. I feel like I don't want Moon Knight to be OP. He's obviously this Khonshu they doing OP stuff, but I feel like he can do a little bit more than just punching and using these moon darts and stuff. Like I feel like he can do a little bit more with his abilities. You know, hopefully he does, but at the moment, looking at what he can do here, like moving so did he go back in time or did they move back to that time or whatever?
From what I'm
the
feeling,
effect looked cool. I wasn't paying it. That shit looked cool. I wasn't paying attention to that.
Yeah, from what I gathered, it was just the night sky that was turned back because time wasn't like going back.
Yeah. Not saying it went back in time, but it seemed like
the night sky did. Yeah, the night sky. Yeah.
Moment.
And I don't know if he never like changed the night sky back either.
Yep. He left it as is.
Because he was gone, because he knew that for doing it that he would be
sealed away again.
Sealed away in the tomb in that statue. And then I had a question because like as he was fading away, I thought it looked pretty cool, and he was like, you know, tell Steven like, to have Mark
free me. What do you say?
Free me, Mark?
He said something
tell
like
Mark. Tell Mark to free me. I'm like, is it gonna be that easy to free you from a tomb sealed?
I don't think it's gonna be.
Gods?
I'm not even gonna do it.
Mark won't have the powers.
Yeah,
is no longer your avatar. He doesn't have. How is this gonna happen?
Honestly, I really think next episode. By the time they do this, by episode, I feel like episode 4 is when they're gonna do the origin of how Moon Knight and how Mark and Khonshu met.
So you think that then it'll be the next episode of saving?
I feel like maybe, or maybe they may half and half it next episode. First half, you know, the origin, then second half, the first part of them trying to figure out how to release him, and then episode 5 is when Khonshu and Steven and Mark all come back together. Because I haven't explained how they all met yet. So
yeah, they have.
Next episode is the only episode to really do it.
In episode 4, I mean, generally it seems like because when you have these shorter series, that usually episode 4 is when you get some of that information. So I can see that, you know, being like whatever, like them giving us a backstory on what happened, how maybe he possibly almost died at the hands of Bushmen, and that Khonshu saved his life. Because, I mean, we do know that they're kind of following that story part along, because he says that earlier to Steven.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that he saved my, you know, I'm alive because of Khonshu. And so after he turns the night sky back, we see him entombed there. And then who comes in to have a conversation with the statue of Khonshu? Arthur Harrow does, doesn't he? What did you think about that conversation?
I mean, I thought it was cool. You know, it just came in there to brag.
I thought it was.
Right, he came in there to brag a little bit, talk shit. You know, just talking shit just a little bit.
It did not resonate with me at all. I thought it was weird. I thought it didn't work. I thought it was silly. Watching him talk to this little freaking statue.
I think it was because like it was so obvious that like the gods and stuff was like was working with Arthur. There were these other guys working with Arthur and stuff, and they was, you know, they basically manipulated the trial. I think it would have been better if like it was more of a shocking reveal that Arthur's working with some of these gods and stuff, and they're all doing a conspiracy. But he walks up in there, we find out he's talking to the guy in the suit, like, not really shocked. You look at how this first scene went, it's like, yeah, this something's weird. Like they asking Arthur nothing. I feel like if it was more of a surprise, which it really wasn't, then I think that scene would have probably hit better for you. If it was more of a surprise. That, oh shoot, Arthur's like, this whole conspiracy, blah blah blah.
And then outside of,
because you would think the gods, once they hear this case, they're going to be a little bit more suspicious of Arthur, what he's doing and stuff, and Arthur is able to do something to give himself enough time to get to Amit or whatever. But nah, it was all just it was a BS like case. It was a BS case because they're all working together.
Yeah, murder was the case that they gave him, right? And they banished him.
Yep.
For eternity.
He gonna be back.
So I wanted to ask you. So what did you think of? I'm gonna ask you questions about each character real quick. What did you think about Layla in this episode?
She was cool. I mean, I didn't like her. I didn't dislike her last episode. I think to me, she's just fine. She's doing her thing. You know, I kind of like her and little Steven's little romantic thingies going on and stuff.
I think it's weird because like she's married to Mark and now she's
because Steven, her perfect man. That's who she wanted in her life. She wanted a man like Steven. You know, Mark was too rough. You know, he wasn't treating her right. He was probably. But I'm telling you, Mark was probably, you know.
I hope not.
He probably was. You know, Mark is on. He rough around the edges. Steven's nice. He's gentle.
Well, maybe
he likes
Jake
the same
is
stuff they like. Nah, Jake. Nah.
Maybe.
Look, Jake may be a bad person, but he don't hit no women.
Well, I hope nobody's hitting women down here, guys. But and what about Khonshu?
Khonshu this episode, I like that he. Honestly, like that he. I like the last bit when he was like not being rude to Steven and stuff, and like tried to he was teaching them like how to use the ability and stuff. He wasn't against it. He was like, you know, he just like, yo, Steven, follow me, dude. I like that, you know, because last episode he was talking smack like, Steven, you're a dummy, blah blah blah. Give Mark back the body. You're a fool. You know, he was trying to just, you know, make it work with Steven and like accept his help. Because that's Khonshu needs all the help he can get. So might as well try to make it work.
Yeah, okay, so the first episode I said he was annoying. The second episode I said he was annoying. Parts of the time I wasn't paying attention to what he was saying because like he was so annoying. This episode I was actually not as annoyed because he didn't make all these silly, I mean he made some silly comments, like I think he still called him a worm at one point.
Yeah,
a few things that I felt like it wasn't as silly because maybe he didn't do as much talking. Maybe that's what it was. But I didn't find Khonshu so bad this time around. What did you think about Arthur Harrow in this episode?
I mean, my favorite bit with him is when he came in doing all that sneaky shit and then coming there throwing out them lies like that, you know. I was a victim. I was the one mistreated. I was like, man, this dude is
and this man's unwell. I thought that was that, even though I didn't like the way the tune looked.
He was finessing. I gotta give him props. He was finessing. I love that shit.
Yes.
Something Thanos couldn't do. Wink, wink.
Yes, he could. Even though like I didn't like the way the team looked and the gods, I did think that his first, you know, time in the tomb that was, you know, a good moment. I didn't like him talking to the Khonshu statue, but I did enjoy when he was, you know, interacting with the gods and pleading his case and you know, just really selling it to him. And I thought he did a really good job there. And what about Oscar Isaacs, Mark Spector?
I like Mark. Like I said, I wanted to see more of Mark, but like I didn't dislike anything Mark did. You know, I did like the parts where Mark and Layla was on that boat and he was trying to like reminisce and stuff and talk about their marriage. You know, and he said like, you know, the same situation we're in here. You know, it's like our honeymoon or whatever. I like him like reminiscing because at first I thought Mark was gonna be so standoffish to her and be like rude and all that, but now he's trying to still be. He's trying to be friendly, still protective of her, which he obviously we've seen he's protective, but he's not being like a douche about it. Like he's generally trying to still make things work. But but at this point, Layla, and this is one thing I thought that was kind of weird. I understand Layla. Look, when we saw Layla, right? She first popped up. She just came to deliver some divorce papers, and she was getting ready to divorce Mark. Now she sees this Amit, and then she changes gears. Like, now I want to save the world and stuff. I'm not saying you can't be a hero and stuff, or whatever. I'm not saying she cannot, but I was like, you just came here to drop off some divorce papers. You didn't come here for nothing else. And also to yell at Mark and say, why you doing this sneaky shit? And then she was gonna dip, but then the cops came, and then she got stuck into this stuff with Amit. Because from what it seemed like, Layla doesn't know everything. She knows about the suit.
I think she knows Mark's mission. About the scarab.
Yeah, she knew. Yeah, she knew about the scarab, but I don't think she like. I think she only knew very little stuff. She knows about the suit. She definitely didn't know about Steven or his other personalities or Khonshu. Mm-hmm. I think she only knew so much.
Yeah.
But even then, when you get to the part with in second episode when Arthur's talking to Steven, she didn't really hear what they was talking about or know what they're doing. And she pops up and now she's like, I want to save the world and stuff. I'm not saying she can't, but it's kind of like pretty quick character shift in like 2 episodes. Because Layla doesn't have that much information to be acting on this stuff at the moment.
I think it's her experience with Egyptian artifacts, and I think that's why I think once she realized, you know, that, and she's aware of who Amit is, that it was a dangerous situation, possibly. You know, like I don't think that she knew how close Mark might have been tied to a lot of it, but just like the lore of the gods, possibly. You know,
right? Or maybe she just, because like she said in this episode earlier, she, you know, the artifacts she steals and stuff is that she said, you know, she takes these from people that took them, gives them back to rightful owners, and maybe that's probably the bigger reason why she's doing it. Amit's trying to take some stuff for open stuff and all this, and she's like, no, you ain't gotta preserve. You know, she wants to preserve these artifacts, culture, all that. So I can see why, you know, on that level she wants to do it, but at the moment, she's very much committed to stopping Amit and stuff and all that. And I'm like, you know, you don't know that much to really form a true opinion on really what you want to do here, because she barely knows shit. She's just finding out about Steven after all these years her and Mark were together and stuff.
And didn't know that all this was happening. So evidently he good at hiding.
Yeah, that's why I hope next episode I hope they explain like how these personalities was working in Mark before Khonshu hit him. Because when he met Khonshu, obviously all these personalities branched out and started to be more apparent. You know, if it is that Mark had this before, I want to see how he handled it. And if they're going to do an origin episode, how he was handling it before Khonshu met. That's the most.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Because I want to know if this is like, if he had this DID thing before or after. Because that's the biggest. Because that's the biggest thing. Because do you think? And I want to ask this: do you think if we come to find out that all this stuff is just a result of Moon Knight meeting Mark, do you think it would be hit? Do you think it would hit compared to if Mark had it before he met Khonshu? This DID situation?
I think it would. I think him having it before and then all of it just, like maybe he was able to keep it at bay because he was aware of it. and through years of dealing with it, was able to manage it. And then Khonshu comes in and just rips the lid
Makes it
wide
all bad
open,
again.
like the like the fake the prank snakes that come out of the can,
Right.
like everything just pops up, right? So that's what I'm thinking, because I think he does mention that he had these issues prior, but it's getting worse. But I
I
don't
hope
know
it
to
is
the
that he had
extent.
these issues prior though. I hope that he did. I'm not saying he didn't, but I hope that's what it is. 'Cause I real true, you guys. I'm so thoroughly confused about what's going on with how they met and stuff, but they haven't showed us, so I can't really, my confusion. I think it's a little bit valid of my confusion and stuff. And it ain't it Ashley. It's not because I don't understand the MCU. Don't you try and start that narrative. I understand this shit, but I just don't understand this particular thing within the MCU right now.
I'm not going to.
For once, the
So, are you
MCU. For once, the
enjoying?
MCU has me confused a bit. For once,
And are you enjoying the show?
I mean, I'm.
Three
I
episodes
don't
in,
dislike it at all. I don't dislike it at all. There's nothing for me to really dislike. Like that's why I
but are
haven't
you enjoying it?
enjoying it. Yeah, thoroughly to an extent. I mean,
Okay. And
it's 10 times better than the Halo series. I'll say that much. It's 10 times better. It's not
it's
saying
not
that
saying
Moon Knight is
much.
bad. It's not saying Moon Knight is bad, but I'm enjoying it more. Like when I watch a Halo show, it puts me to sleep. Moon Knight at least keeps me awake and it entertains me.
Well, for me, there are things that I do like in the show. Like I said before, I enjoy those moments where, um, you know, Stephen and Mark are having those conversations back and forth. I think that Oscar Isaacs is very strong there. I do like Arthur Harrow. Sometimes I feel like some of those scenes seem a little bit, every once in a while I feel like he's in a weird scene that's off a bit, but
Yep.
I don't think that that's really him. I think it's just the choices and some of the script writing and things like that. But am I enjoying the show? Not really. So far, um, I mean, I don't think it's a horrible show, but it's not an enjoyable. I'm like super interested in it because I still don't care for Khonshu a whole lot. His voice. I still don't care for Layla a lot. I don't like the flashes and the easy fix to get away from things that might be slightly more on the gory end. I don't like that in this show. I feel like some of the jokes don't fit
Right.
because sometimes tonally it'll feel very serious, and then it'll be like these weird span of jokes that go on longer than they should, especially like the Mr. Knight stuff.
Yeah.
And before you all come at me, don't at me and say, "Oh, well, that's what the MCU does, Ashley." I got you. You can inject humor in places, but to me, with this, at times, it seems a little jarring and off-putting. Khonshu's voice seems like it's played more for a laugh when it should be more menacing and more godly like to me. And he sounds like Venom. We've talked about this before. Shout out to Belle Reed for that. Putting that thought in my head that he sounds like Venom, because he does. If overall, what would you give this score for this episode, Doc?
Man, you know what? I don't like to give a lot of MCU stuff high scores. When I say 5 out of 5, I mean that for DC, but it's different for the MCU. It's really me saying it's a 3 out of 5. You know what I'm saying?
So you gave it a 5 out of 5?
No, but I don't mean it's truly a 5 out of 5. It's just me being nice for the audience. But that's not my true
Y'all,
rating. I'm joking.
this
It's a 3 point. It's a 3.5 out of 5.
okay, and I'm gonna score my. I'll follow your suit and score it out of 5. I'm scoring it out of 5. I guess it's a wow. Let me do 10 because I feel like 5 is a little more difficult. It's a 6 out of 10.
It's not bad. I mean, yeah, it's
And
not
like,
bad.
I mean, the last episode was a 6.5. The first was around a 7, a 6.5 too. Because even though I think I enjoyed the second episode a little bit more at times, even with the weird Mr. Knight stuff.
Yeah.
Just because of those moments between, Oscar Isaac when he's playing opposite himself. Those moments, there were so many great moments in the second episode that just put it over for me. So other than that, we've got episode 4 coming very, very soon, don't we, Jot?
I think I read some
This
spoilers. I'm
coming
not sure if they're
Wednesday.
legit.
Don't.
I
I'm
think I
trying to
did. I
behave
don't
and not
know.
listen to
It could have been
mouths.
some bullshit, but somebody pretty
I'm
much leaked the
trying.
4th episode.
I'm trying.
One of the early reviewers who watched it, they leaked the 4th episode.
Oh gosh,
I'll
now
just
I'm
say
gonna
this.
ask him what happened.
I'll just say this from what it is described. I'm not gonna say what it is. That shit sound weird as fuck. Like, like you might have to. I might have to smoke some shit to watch that. What? What the person described? I might have to smoke some shit because I was like, "What is this? It sounds trippy as shit." It don't even sound like it's from the same show.
Well, we will see if these rumors are true, right?
Yeah.
And we will be watching Moon Knight Wednesday on Disney Plus. And if you're like me and the Dot over here, it's 3 a.m. gang. And we will be talking about it very soon and giving you all the juicy bits of episode 4. Will episode 4 improve the series for me? I don't know. Will episode 4 make Dot turn his back on it? Stay tuned. And you know what? Don't forget to like, comment down below, and let us know what you think about episode 3 of Moon Knight. Right, Dot?
Yes.
Anything else you want to say?
No, not at the moment. DC rocks.
All right. Well, MCU forever. Bye.
What'd you do? What'd you do?